For years, generative AI functioned as a reactive content creation assistant. Users enter a prompt, and the model returns a response within a closed, linear loop. The deployment of Copilot Cowork introduces a distinct architecture centered on autonomous execution. Instead of waiting for a human to guide every step, the system coordinates a multi-step workflow across different applications from a single command. This multi-agent system possesses the capacity to plan a sequence of tasks, verify its own accuracy against ground truth data, and revise its approach without continuous human intervention. One instruction can now trigger parallel operations, compiling an Excel forecast, referencing calendar data, and scheduling an Outlook review meeting. This shift moves AI beyond a drafting assistant towards a model of autonomous execution. To understand how this works, we have to look at the operational failure point of a raw large language model. A bare LLM is stateless. It has no memory of past operations, and it has no innate permissions to access corporate files. Because a generic model cannot see your organization's data silos, it cannot respect them. It has no native mechanism to enforce compliance boundaries or navigate internal access controls. To bridge the gap between a raw language model and organizational reality, Microsoft 365 utilizes a mandatory three-layered intelligence stack known as WorkIQ. Deploying a model without this infrastructure results in a system that lacks the context to be useful and the controls to be secure. The architecture begins at the bottom tier, the data foundation. This is where the model is securely grounded in reality. It aggregates unstructured communication signals in real time, pulling from emails, Teams chats, and SharePoint documents. It then integrates structured business logic from platforms like Dataverse and Power Apps. All of this data remains secured within the Microsoft Graph, which acts as a strict cryptographic and logical containment boundary. When a query is initiated, the agent immediately inherits the specific role-based access control profile of the exact user making the request. During retrieval, it automatically enforces existing data loss prevention policies. This structural isolation prevents cross-tenant data leakage and blocks unauthorized internal access by design. The data foundation ensures the agent can only reason over the exact information the user is legally and technically authorized to view. Aggregating files based on keyword matches is insufficient. A list of documents does not explain how a business actually operates. This requires the second tier, the context layer, driven by the semantic index. The semantic index utilizes specific ontologies and glossaries to map procedural knowledge. The data to understand organizational hierarchies, reporting lines, and the velocity of team communications. The context layer transforms the agent from a search engine into a system that grasps the specific operational relationships of the enterprise. Yet, even with deep context and secure data, a language model is ultimately constrained to outputting text. It cannot perform digital actions. The top tier of WorkIQ bridges this gap. This is the skills and tools layer. Skills provide the agent with specialized, reusable instructions that standardize how it approaches repeatable tasks. Tools provide the specific verbs and resource paths required to interact directly with Microsoft 365 entities. These tools are accessed through Model Context Protocol, or MCP servers, functioning as secure gateways. Here, the mechanical translation occurs. The MCP servers take the text-based reasoning generated by the LLM and convert it directly into structured, executable API calls. This enables direct action, allowing the agent to update CRM records, manipulate Dataverse entries, or resolve calendar conflicts. The skills and tools layer turns semantic reasoning into measurable digital action across the tenant. To see this architecture operate, consider a complex execution scenario, utilizing Excel's multi-agent web search to conduct and format market research. In the initiation phase, a single user prompt is ingested and broken down into distinct parallel tasks by the orchestration layer. The first subagent executes a broad search, retrieving external web data and internal graph data simultaneously. A second subagent pursues specific subtopics, cross-references the initial findings, and verifies the claims for accuracy. The final subagent formats the verified data and executes the Copilot function, pushing the structured output directly into the spreadsheet grid. By separating retrieval, reasoning, and checking into distinct functions, this multi-agent loop structurally mitigates hallucinations. The user's role shifts. Instead of guiding every microstep, they simply review and approve the final verified state. This iterative loop scales for complex enterprise workflows, precisely where traditional prompt engineering fails. Autonomous execution raises a critical architectural concern: the risk of unmonitored systems making destructive API calls. Because the entire WorkIQ stack operates strictly within the existing tenant trust boundary, it does not require a separate governance layer. The Microsoft 365 Admin Center provides centralized observability, ensuring every tool call and data retrieval event is logged and auditable. True agentic power is defined not by unchecked autonomy, but by strict, transparent, and enforceable enterprise governance. The core architectural equation is precise. A large language model, combined with the data, context, and tools of WorkIQ, produces an autonomous enterprise agent. This architecture collapses the distance between external unstructured information and internal structured work. Copilot operates as a foundational infrastructure component rather than an isolated chat feature. The system operates entirely on the first principles of data security and logical execution. The enterprise agent is no longer a tool that users operate. It is the programmable reasoning engine that executes modern business workflows.